Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Judson Memorial Church. It's so wonderful to see all of you in this space. If we haven't met, or you could use the reminder, my name is Micah, and my pronouns are they and them, and I'm the senior minister here at Judson, and it is my honor to say that every Sunday. It is not, that was not an applause line, but thank you. Folks, if you have been following the Christian liturgical calendar, it is Transfiguration Sunday. If you have been following the Judson calendar, it is New Member Sunday. And today we are combining Transfiguration Sunday and New Member Sunday to basically announce that by bringing in new members to this congregation, we are transfiguring this congregation. We are queering ourselves even more than we ever thought we could. So get ready. There are over 10 folks joining this morning. And if that makes you fear that this thing is going to go till mid-afternoon, guess what? The last time that we brought in more than 10 new members and I was hemming and hawing to my pastor father and telling him, Dad, I don't know what to do. It's going to be such a long service. And my dad was like, Micah, have you ever thought of shutting your own mouth and maybe not preaching a sermon? And I was like, oh, that's an idea I never thought of. So don't worry, no sermon today. You will just have to hear me announcing each of these amazing folks who are going to come up and co-create a beautiful sermon for you by sharing their spiritual journeys. Then it will guide us toward the end of the service when our co-moderator TJ will come up to the front of the room and take a vote from our congregation on whether we would like to join each of these folks on their spiritual journeys and have them join the Judson congregation. And then we will sing in our Al Carmine's classic. And then we'll have celebrations and concerns. And then I'm not going to stand up here like I usually do. I'm going to run to that kitchen back there because I have made 2 Ruby Marsh, my grandma, buck cakes in the back. And I want to serve our new members first, this delicious vegan cake, and then all of you can partake as well. I would love nothing more than to share it with you. We always start our service here by first turning to that camera right there, waving hello to the Judson diaspora. Thank you. We feel you all in this space with us. Thank you, Reverend Emily Jean, for holding that space. We can't wait to see you on the wall behind me momentarily. And then I ask you to give attention to our land acknowledgement and commitment to action. Judson's physical space stands on the unceded ancestral land of the Munsee Lenape people. Our community acknowledges the Lenape community, their elders both past and present, as well as future generations, and we make this acknowledgement as only one part of our work to dismantle the ongoing lies and legacies of Christian supremacy, settler colonialism, and white supremacy. We also commit to change. Everything you touch, you change. Everything you change changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change. Therefore, if we refuse to change, we run the risk of being godless. But if we commit to looking back at where we've been, looking honestly at who we are, and looking forward to who we can become, we might just touch God. We believe this truth, and belief initiates and guides action, or it does nothing. So, what does community look like in the face of this truth? What does epiphany look like in the face of this truth? What does inquiry look like in the face of this truth? What does the future look like in the face of this truth? We not only acknowledge the past, but we commit to present action, and our future awaits our willingness to change. And if you don't know already, St. Octavia Butler, who's looking down on us up there, those were words remixed from her words. So thank you, St. Octavia. And now I invite you to settle into this time together with a musical meditation from our very own Henco. And now I invite you, if you feel safe in this space, you can close your eyes for a moment as we pay attention to the ways that this place has been a home to so many. Even if it is your first time here, I hope you will make yourself at home. And if it is your 1,000th time here, I hope you always feel at home. And this is a prayer for coming home. Someone might have built this space with their hands, but you have built this place with your heart. It has sheltered your worst, and it has housed your best. It has affected, protected, and infected you, and you have tended, befriended, and offended it. You have made and been a mess. You have guessed at guesting in other awkward areas, gone away and assessed. You have strayed and transgressed. You might be confused, but you are a bruised blessing. The corners that cradled your timeouts, the rugs that received your hangouts, the ceilings that surrounded your freakouts, all of these ragged, jagged joints point you back to you. Don't be embarrassed to change. Even corners, rugs, and ceilings warp and wither and waste away, and you don't hear them complaining. They simply reshape themselves into who they know they now need to be. Don't be afraid to let walls fall and dreams dissolve. New visions will fill the spaces and create the places to which we return. May you always be returning. Awestruck as a child, surprised to find that home is both a remembering and a forgetting, a setting and a letting go, a believing and a receiving, a raising up and a tearing down, a comfort and a cross to cast off. May the corners always cradle you. May the rugs always receive you. May the ceilings always surround you. But may you also always step back, stretch out, look up, and witness your world opening wider every time you ask, where am I? Where do I want to go? Who do I need to be in order to get there? While home expands to hold your ever-evolving answers. Amen. And now is your first chance to rise in body and or spirit, and we are going to raise the rafters off this place, singing in Al Carmine's classic, Many Gifts, One Spirit, found on page 11. right, you took that challenge. Nice work. All right, it is my honor now to invite up the first 4 of our new members to share with you their spiritual journeys, but here is my invitation to all of you. These will be very brief spiritual journey shares, and we all know that our spiritual journeys are incredibly complicated and layered, and that we are nowhere near the end of the arc of them, no matter what we say from this lectern. So think of these as an invitation to get to know the people better at coffee hour. They are about to share with you just snippets, and there's much more to share. So make yourself comfortable leaning into the rest of their stories during coffee hour and far, far beyond. So I would love to invite up Elena, Karen, Sam, and Rich.
Hi, everyone. So honored and terrified to be going first, but I know this is a supportive community. I grew up extremely Catholic. I went to Convent of the Sacred Heart for 13 years. My uncle, great uncle, is a cardinal who crowned Pope Benedict. Yeah, crazy, insane. And I'm not an angry person, but I found myself growing up really angry in church, just that I was in this stunning, wealthy space, but queer people, people of color, women were so relegated and put to the side. So I left church. I came back when I was 18. My mom passed away quite suddenly. She got psychosis and took her own life. And I came back for the tradition, singing the same songs I sang with my mom, feeling like I could connect to her and give her a little note as I talked to God. But I also came back for the promise of Jesus as a liberatory figure. I became quite obsessed with social justice after my mom died. She had a really hard time accessing care, and I felt like Jesus is a revolutionary, and I need a place to rebuild my hope that we can build a better world. I feel so at home at Judson that Jesus was a revolutionary, that art is holy, and that each of you have a tiny piece of God within you. It's been so amazing getting to know this community and so excited to keep doing it. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Karen Coughlin. I'm a newbie here. My spiritual journey is I wasn't raised religiously at all. My father was Catholic and my mother was Jewish. My grandmother tried to instill with me that since your mother's Jewish, you're actually Jewish. So she tried to teach me some of the traditions and stuff. And I couldn't quite identify, Hebrew and all that stuff. It was sort of interesting, but, I couldn't really identify. So in my 30s, I went to Marlborough Collegiate Church when Norman Vincent Peale preached, and I loved him. I was there for a couple of years, and then he left, and they had another minister who was very cold, and I didn't care for him that much. And then I got married and moved to New Jersey, and my husband, he was a Baptist, but we never went to church. So then he died, and he wanted a minister to do the service from there. So, the minister was wonderful, and I joined the church, and I got baptized, and the people there were wonderful, and, I felt like a part of them. But they were older, and they died off, and, after a while he left, and they got another minister who I couldn't identify with. So I moved on, I'm moving on. Then, so I was like searching all the time. Then 9/11 came, and I really felt the need for spirituality. So I started trying all different things, Methodist, Presbyterian, Unitarian, traditional, the type where they have the robes and they chant in Latin and they have the incense and stuff like that. And it was sort of cold, I found some parts were interesting, but it was always the same thing every week. And the congregation wasn't that welcoming. I'd sit there, nobody would say hello to me and everything. It was sort of cliquey. So that wasn't what I'm looking for, so I kept on searching. Meanwhile, I had a friend that was trying to push the evangelistic philosophy on, which, my back went up right away. I didn't like it. So then I hit Judson by accident. I was going to go to another church, in place of it. And I was running late, so I said, let me try Judson. So Micah was preaching just what I was looking for, I said, this is it. I'm not searching anymore. This is my church. I'm staying. So that's why I'm here now. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rich Jackson, he, him, and I think my spiritual journey, like many of ours, started when I was young, but maybe like many of us, I found less comfort and more worries from going to church. So I wandered in and out of church, wandered back in when I had children, wandered back out when they left, and thought about spiritual things, but never settled on a place to go. And then 6 years ago, Elaine and I got together, and we settled on going more regularly, and I found that going with someone and finding a place made a difference, and we found a nice place to go in Boston. Coming here, though, opened our eyes even more, and for me, it's been a place of comfort while continually stimulating and worrying me in a good way, worrying me about what I should do, because I've told people part of my problem is I'm in this extended now 5-year honeymoon with Elaine. I'm so happy that I've wandered from maybe doing useful things, and I've now wandered back into doing some useful things for me in my odd area of expertise. You saw my little bio. Just like to say, if anyone has a rat or a mouse with diabetes, bring them to me. I have more experience than you might appreciate. Church for me has always been about the sermons and the music and what that does for me during the time I'm there. With Elaine, a community has been a bigger part, and I've really grown to appreciate and love the community here. And moving forward, one of the things I'd like to see is, can we expand this community? Like anything you love, you don't want to see it be static, you'd like to see it grow. And we have something wonderful here that we should reveal to other people in a reasonable way. I'd also like to see if some of my nerdy skills can apply to little corners of the church for keeping things orderly. But all in all, this has been one of the nice experiences as far as moving to New York. So thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Sam. My spiritual journey is, I was born into a Christian family back in India, grew up where my parents take to church every week, and at some point I moved here for work. Then when you grow up, you start also realizing beyond survival, you start thinking about, as a human, spirituality and where we are in the journey. To be honest, I do not know where I am in the spiritual journey because I do not know what's the beginning, what's the end. So I want to learn about where I am on the journey. As we all know, our body is accumulation of food and our mind is an accumulation of memories. How do we operate beyond not letting the accumulations impact us in what we do? When I came here, I went to Plymouth Congregational Church, UCC, back in Syracuse. And I felt I was home because it was very similar to the church I went to back in India and what I've seen. And the minister there gave me 3 churches addresses in New York City. One was Judson. And I started coming here, not very frequently though, and I felt that I'm back home again. So I want to grow in the future with the church to find what my spiritual journey takes me to. What we have is time, energy, and probably monetary. So I want to see how I can support and be part of it. That's all.
Thank you so much, folks, and everybody. There's more where that came from. But we are about to lean into the fact that enthusiasm in terms of bringing in new members can be really loud and exciting, and then it can also be a very quiet thing. So please welcome to the front stage of Judson's own Liza Minnelli, Maureen McNamara. Thank you so much, Maureen and Henco, and thank you, Spotlight. Goodness gracious, more spotlights on Sunday morning. And now I would love to keep these spiritual journey shares going by inviting up Bill and Linda and Jody and Diana.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Bill Koch. Human being is my identity. 6 months ago, I said, okay, that's it. God of my youth, I'm getting a permanent divorce. And this is the old guy in the sky with the whip in one hand and an ice cream cone in the other. And I got this message, you need to go to a house of God and tell him. And my dear friend, neighbor, where are you, Ruby, he's out there somewhere, had been telling me about his upcoming show at Judson. And I kept hearing your voice. And so I came here, and I got here early, and I'm sitting in the back, and Matt is rehearsing his solo, which happened to be Starry, Starry Night, which is one of my favorite songs, and Van Gogh is one of my heroes. And so it was like, I'm in the right place, except that the minister's out of town. He must have heard I'm coming. So anyway, I I've been coming here and this is absolutely the right place. I'm honored to be joining all of you in this place. I'm absolutely where I should be right now. Thank you, Micah, for your leadership, and everyone. This is just such a wonderful place. My website is in the bulletin, and on it is a highlight called BK Wild Horses Celebration. When I turned 80 5 years ago, I got the inspiration that I needed to do a celebration of the thousands of gifts and miracles in my life, and I did that, and it's on there. But something new always happens, and I have to share this week. On Monday, I saw my therapist. I was in a terrible place, and I said, I'm so tired of being ashamed of all my life. I've been ashamed of my gifts, and even though I have a great career, everything I feel I didn't deserve. I have trouble letting in good things. If I get money, I don't open the envelope. All this stuff. And he said, why don't you deserve good things? And I immediately said, because I killed my sister. And I was like, wow, I thought I worked all that out. Anyway, what actually happened was just before my 5th birthday, my sister died at birth. My mother's good Christian relatives told her she made God kill her baby for leaving the true church and marrying my father. And she was insane, I mean insane, for years. And I remember her suddenly starting to scream, I killed your sister, I killed your sister. Anyway, to cut to the chase, after our long discussion, the therapist said, a 5-year-old child, it's easier for a 5-year-old child to be a murderer than to have a mother who's a murderer, because a 5-year-old needs his mother. So as of Monday, I did not kill my sister. My mother didn't kill my sister. She died because she had a short umbilical cord. Why did God let her die? I don't know. I don't have to answer that question. And the beautiful thing is I've had changes in my life before because of 12-step. And Maureen, you put it so beautifully. Reality is a quiet thing. So thank you all for being here.
Good morning. I want to share a short story with you. They're telling me to bring the mic down. Okay. About 30 plus years ago, I was living on Long Island. My daughter was starting junior high school. I was a single parent, and I had a home there. I considered myself very strong, very capable of taking care of everything, and I was the kind of person who never asked for help, no matter what was going on. Well, one day I was coming home from the city, and I had seen my medical doctor, and I received some rather distressing news about my medical condition. So as I got on the train to head home, I did what I typically do, and I had conversations with God. And I started negotiating. Well, God, if you let me regain some health, I promise I'll do this. And if you show me what I need to do, I promise I'll follow it to the letter. And that went on and on. I got off the train at my stop, and I started to head to the escalator, which happened to be out, and there were many steps going down. And all of a sudden, I heard somebody yelling, "Help! Would you please help me?" And I turn around, and there's a woman on crutches, and the conductor is removing 2 bags from the train and putting them down beside her. And she was at least twice my size, and I looked around on the platform. I was the only person there. So I knew I couldn't just leave her there, and I approached her, and I said, "What can I do to help you?" She said, "I need to get to a payphone." We didn't have cells in those days. It was all payphone. So I thought to myself, oh God, I need all the strength you can give me because the escalator is out and I have to help this woman get down the stairs. So I took her bags over to the stairs. I led her to the stairs and I said, "You're going to have to wait here because it's a long way down and your bags are heavy and I have to hold on and I have to take 1 bag at a time and I'll keep coming back up." So I took 1 bag down. I came back up the steps. I got the second bag down. I came back up the steps. I was totally exhausted. And I said to her, well, how are we going to navigate this? She said, you have to hold the crutches, and you have to lead me down. And I thought, I have to hold on to the railing. I can't hold her crutches. I said, just wait here. I'll bring the crutches down. I'll come back for you. So I went down again with the crutches. Gasping, I came back up the steps, and we safely got down. At that point, I saw two guys there that were from the neighborhood, and they came up to me and they said, do you need help? And completely out of character, I said, yes, help us, please, help. So I told them we had to get to the phone over there. One took the bags, the other one led her. She got on the phone, called her mom, told her mom that she arrived safely, and she called her friend whose mother was going to come pick her up at the train station. And I remained there with her, and it just flew out of my mouth. What were you thinking? Why did you come here by yourself? Anything could have happened. And she said to me, well, you know, my mother thought this was a good idea. It would be a good experience for me, and it would boost my confidence. She said, and my mother said to me, just remember, if you get into trouble, ask for help. So at that point, I just looked up and I said, could we have eliminated one flight of stairs for you to deliver this message? And my spiritual journey is really been conversations with God. And I'm so happy to be in this community, and I don't know where I fit in, but I'm hoping you'll help me figure that out. And I will thank you in advance for any help you have to offer. Thank you.
That was a really amazing story to follow. I'm Jody, she, hers. I'm going to use a little bit of Cliff Notes here. My spiritual journey is that I did grow up with church being a big part of my life. I went every Sunday, I participated in choir, I was in the youth group. It was always a place for me that was full of family and friends, and took on a greater significance for me when I was a teenager and going through the confirmation process, because that was the year that my mother actually died. And that community was very supportive during that time. My father was a devout Catholic, but he was always really committed to making sure that my sister and I really stayed part of my mother's church community. I drifted a little bit away from church, but not spirituality when I went away to college. I wasn't attending services so much, but actually in addition to my pre-medicine studies, I also got a minor in religious studies, so that's kind of a fun fact about me. I always meant to find another church when the time was right, and after spending many, many years on my career in medical school and residency, I finally moved into the city for my first job after training and felt like now's the right time. Another really life-important experience for me then was actually the birth of my nephew, so I would go back to Boston frequently and go with my sister and her new family back to my original church, and that sort of reinvigorated me to be a part of it again. And I'd like to say that I always felt like I had wanted this type of community to be available to me when I was going to need it, and I realized it's up to me to be a part of it now. So here in New York City, I went to a whole bunch of different churches before circling back to Judson. I think I was kind of looking for that initial church that I grew up with, and this definitely wasn't it, but I could say it's been a very, very nice breath of fresh air. And I'm looking forward to being a member in this community, and I really do feel like being a part of this community makes me a better part of every community that I'm in. So thank you.
Thank you so much, folks. It just gets richer and richer, and I invite you now to rise in body and or spirit. Let's join in singing We Are a People Both, found on page 8. please be seated. And now I would love to invite up Severin, Anne, Kate, Eli, and Elaine, and Diana. Diana, come on up with us. Good to see you.
Hi, I'm Severin Ann Mason. She, her. I'm pagan. And I started coming to church here when my dear friend Micah was welcomed in as senior minister. And I keep describing to my family and my friends that I came into this space with these beautiful Lafarge windows on one side and these beautiful people that I had studied and learned about and sort of become friends with on the other. And the first time Micah and I sat down to have our conversation, which had been 4 years in the coming, I think it went sort of like this. I feel like I'm already a member. Maybe I'm already a member. Can pagans be members? And then when I sat down at our first Judson discovery group, and beautiful Abigail Hastings shared the sign that was from old days of Judson that said, "This is where Christians, Jews, and pagans shall meet," I think I just about jumped out of my chair. I grew up Episcopalian, singing in the church choir and going to youth group with a church that I found to be very magical. And that magic sort of lost its luster as I became an adolescent, and the patriarchy of those words started being louder and louder, and as my father sort of left, I needed something else to be that connection for me with the divine. So what pagan means to me is that there isn't just one connection. There are many connections, and we can call on whatever connection we need in that moment. And for me, in my younger days, it was a goddess. And I started leading all of my friends in circles and reading and convincing just about everybody I could to come and circle up with me. And in my early 20s, when I moved to the city, I'm feeling very weepy these days. I lost a very dear uncle, and I had a crisis of faith, and for about 10 years, I couldn't find God anywhere. And I met a wonderful therapist who very slowly and gradually showed me how we can use ritual to make meaning out of our lives. And she was speaking my language, and that connection started to come back for me. I keep thinking that someday I'm going to come to Judson and not cry. It hasn't happened yet. I walked into this space for Micah's induction as senior minister, and I think I started weeping immediately because I had been in a place where, although I had started to find my connection with divinity again, the world around me seemed to lack God anywhere. And I came into this place and I thought, God is here. God is here in this room with these people. And I'm looking forward to exploring that more with all of you and what that means and what divinity means to you. I want to have the deeper conversations. I want to find out what makes you more connected. I want to investigate what it means to lead. I have no idea, but I sort of feel called to that. And I look forward to learning about me more and learning about you more and discovering God together.
I was ready. I had it right here at the top of the pocket, you know, for just this kind of moment. Lapsed Catholic, you know, sitting around one day going, nah, merciful God, hell, that's not happening. And then I went to Notre Dame because Mom always wanted a son to go to Notre Dame, and so I went, and there was more Catholics. There were a couple of wonderful people. There was a man named Father Griffin. big, huge, heavy-set guy, walked around with a little dog, and he wrote compassionate stories about people, and he didn't judge, and some of the people were gay, and he still wrote the stories. And there was another man named John Donne who was a theologian, and we had to take 2 classes. And John Donne, I was just riveted. I mean, I never missed it. I was on the edge of my seat all the time. And many, many, many years later, there was a Notre Dame magazine, and John Donne was on the cover shortly before he died, and he said, "I've spent my life trying to bring spirituality back to the Catholic Church." So after Catholicism, I think one of the terrible things about Catholicism for me was when you walk away from the dogma, you think you've walked away from everything that's non-physical. You know, there's nothing out there, because if that's what it is, it isn't, so there isn't. Joined a 12-step program when I moved to Peoria, and that helped. You know, once we got past the fact that the higher power didn't have to be Jesus, I was okay. And it led me to a Unitarian church, and just like somebody here, I can't remember, I went to this church because they had a good singles group, and the singles group was all away at a ski weekend, and I was impressed because the Catholics would not let you go away for a ski weekend on a Sunday. So I thought, well, I'll stick around, and David Maynard was the minister. And 10 minutes in, I thought, I'm home. I didn't even know there could be a church like this. And so fast forward, loved that church, all my heart, you know, loved washing the cups downstairs in the break, you know, the whole thing. And then I moved, and never again, over 30-some years, never found another church that I loved, never joined another church. Sometimes felt, you know, the first cut is the deepest. I loved that church, and I couldn't find another one. But I've had a longing for community. I'm interested in spirituality, particularly I'm interested in meditation, like I'm going to do Bill's canoe meditation next week. And I've done some kind of heavy duty, like go to Joe Dispenza retreats in the hope of locating the divine. Still hasn't happened. No, it hasn't happened. Still hanging out here. I'm also interested in psychedelics and plant medicines for the same reason. So if anybody else is into plant medicines, come talk to me, because by golly, I've been looking in. And also, 2 last things, like somebody else said, I want to see this church survive, and that beloved, beloved church that I loved in Peoria was old like this, magnificent, stained glass, only they were Unitarian stained glass, so it was like, you know, streams and forests and stuff. And beautiful, and the congregation, and we had an organ, congregation wasn't big enough to continue to maintain an old building, and in the end, I was gone then, but they sold the church to Methodist Hospital, which was next door, who wanted the land to put up a parking lot. So they literally paved paradise and put up a parking lot. You know, and the church got enough money to go buy 2 acres of wooded land and, you know, all that stuff. But I've been through seeing a beautiful old church, didn't have enough money to keep going because the building was so damned expensive. And to that end, I'm honored to join this church. It's Micah. I mean, I walked in and I'm like, he's like fucking David Maynard. Oh, I just said fuck. Oh, I always say that. I was going to try not to, but it's my favorite word. So it's like, and yeah, the last, you know, it's a funny word. You'll lose somebody, but the people who go, oh, she just said the F word and talk to you later, they're always the most interesting. So it's like, okay, I'm going to lose a few, but I'm going to get some good ones. Yeah, and my last thing, David Maynard, that minister in that church, died a couple of months ago. And it was just a switch that flipped. I'm like, I'm tired of grieving. I am just so damn tired of grieving, because I'm at an age and everybody's dying and all that stuff. And I thought, I believe in near-death experiences. The great love of my life had one. I've watched 1 billion on YouTube. I'm just going to try to believe what the near-death people say, which is there is more, and death is like taking off a tight shoe, and everybody you've ever loved and you miss is going to be there. But meanwhile, until I get there, I want to hang out with you guys.
Hi, everybody. Oh. The first thing I'm going to tell you is that I'm having a really serious histamine reaction right now, so I'm like feeling pretty like I'm going to fall over. It's not nerves, it's just body, so just know that. If I like leave quickly, that's why. I'm Eli. My pronouns are they, he, and Z, never she, her, okay, y'all? First, a confession. The deceivingly simple tasks for today sent me on quite an existential journey, if not a fully fledged crisis. In part, this is because this might be the first time I've truly felt called to share as an act of stripping away rather than painting on. For once, I wasn't participating in some sort of institutional drag, performing for others. What would I say if I didn't feel like I had to try to be anything for anyone but me and spirit? I take rituals very seriously. So this invocation, too, is a spell of sorts, an ownership, an articulation, and a promise. What does it mean to stand here? Having chosen to commit to collective spiritual life in this particular way, in this particular place. Because to be here owns out loud in public the whole spiritual journey that led me here. The life, the grief, the pain, and heartbreak of the ex-Catholic, queer, trans, radical, anti-capitalist, mystically driven seeker before you. It's a moment that asks me to expose the scar tissue around my answer, as it asks us all quite plainly, who are we becoming? Judson hums like a home I never expected to find. This is because, on the one hand, it mirrors my own trifecta of core values, justice, creative practice, and expansive faith, but also because, as I mentioned in my bio in the bulletin, for many years, I've eschewed more traditional labels about what my creative practice is by explaining that my medium is questions. Two in particular have guided me over the last few years, and I call on them in countless ways. I ask myself, who is it for? And what is it for? And so that is the question for today. Who am I here for? Who is the work that I do here for? What goals do I have in being here? And so the answer to that is kind of a collision. It's both mud and lotus. My life for 3 decades has been so dedicated to service that I barely recognize myself apart from that. But where does spiritual care for myself and the heart live? Where does the harrowing work of faith in action live in a larger commitment to change? And how might this, the embodied, the personal, the holding of human hearts, be the missing link to truly being of service in an authentic way? I'm a problem solver, a designer, a system builder, a producer, a rabble-rouser, a fixer. But in learning how I see myself at Judson, I'm seeking to hear what I need to hear before I say what I may have thought I needed to say. Slowing down and figuring out where the hurt lives in my body, and our collective one, before I try to build the clinic and offer beds and bandages. So I'm here to sweep the floor, to stack the chairs, and to label out the soup with Andrew in the meanwhile. Or for whatever you need me for. Try me. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Elaine Sullivan, and I was raised Catholic. The good news is my parents, I was a Vatican II kid, so you old Catholics know what that means. The church is the people of God, and my father and mother were so cued into that. So I really got exposed to liberal Catholicism early on and was able to find liberal Catholicism throughout my adult life. When Rich and I got together, the problem was even liberal Catholic churches don't want a guy like him to receive communion because he hasn't followed the Roman Catholic approach. And we really wanted to do church together. So so we were able to find a wonderful Unitarian, UCC Presbyterian church in Boston. Warm, friendly, immediately welcomed us in, carried us through most of COVID, and then we made the move down here at the end of COVID when all of you were masked, if you were here at all. And so it took us a while to find our place, but boy, have we felt welcomed. And I will tell you, congregational, I learned a whole different approach when I went to my first meeting of the Immigration Task Force to figure out what to do for asylum seekers. And it was an hour and a half, 2 hours post-church of discussion of what can we do, what's realistic, who can help, and everybody was heard. And that idea that everybody is welcome to have an opinion, to share, to be listened to. And I have to say, Rich and I, we've come to really love Judson, and so many of you have been a joy to get to know.
Hello. Guess I need to move this up. Maybe not. Oh, it's okay. I can't really say it to everybody, but my name is Diana. She, her. My sign name is. So, in this past few weeks, going through this Judson discovery sessions with Micah and other prior members of Judson and the new members. I guess I don't know where to. I'll start at the beginning, which is what I told them. I started my own spiritual journey at a Catholic school in Hollis, Queens, Incarnation School, and which was attached to Incarnation Church, which is part of Incarnation Parish, and I really liked that church. It was very sweet. It felt like a very country-like. It was like in the interior it was stucco and cross beams with dark wood. When I just turned 13 and my family moved to Long Island, and I never got used to the church there. It was big and formal, and it was all these cold marble white columns. Unlike these columns here, which I was noticing before, these feel warm and strong, not like cold and like don't touch me. Anyway, the church itself it felt very cold. This pink marble and all this marble all over the place, and plus it was about the same time that the masses started being said in English. So being at 13 or 14 and being in this new place, and I felt like a lot of the solemnity and the uniqueness of going to a service was lost, or either that, or it just felt too Protestant. Somehow, or at least that was my interpretation of it. So my college years into my 20s and 30s, I didn't really have pursue a formal physical place, but I've always felt to be a spiritual person in general, and I guess I'm still on that journey, which is why I've landed here, because I feel like a journey is never really complete. It's something that keeps going, and perhaps you can learn more things along the way, which I hope to do with others of you here who are perhaps further along on your journey. And I thought this was kind of summed up by, I'm going to put my glasses on first just because I want to get the name right, because I almost said I would like to quote Pierre Cardin, but it's actually not Pierre Cardin. This was Pierre Chardin, who was a French, a French, I was going to say a French Jewish priest, a French Jesuit priest. However, he was a theologian and had some issues with the Vatican throughout the years, so he would have probably liked to be called a French Jewish priest, because he was also he was a scientist, he was a theologian. Anyway, so he sums it up for me. I feel it sums up for me. He says, "We are not." This is Pierre Chardin. We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And that's what I hope to pursue.
I truly do not know how the universe works this way, but that is literally the quotation that I was going to use to introduce the next song. Diana. I mean, do you all know that Diana was supposed to go earlier in the service? Like, folks, something's happening here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are the cosmos. Please rise in body and or spirit. And let's join in singing on page 9. Beautiful. Please be seated. And bringing up the rear of these spiritual journeys, come on up KP, Noel, and Rikki.
Hi everyone, I'm KP. I use she, her pronouns. I was at Taylor Mack's performance of Bark of Millions last night, and I left thinking, this is what I want my spiritual life to be when I grow up. At the risk of being a total Judson cliche, I will say that my spiritual journey over recent years has been a queering of my perception of the faith, the Christian faith that I grew up in as a kid. I think one aspect of it is that I used to have a relationship with spirituality, faith, God, that was more about my own personal morality, perfection, goodness, and that has been queered to care more about collective wholeness. And I think another aspect of it is that I no longer see kind of this singular view or way of accessing God. I care a whole lot more about seeing the divine in the plurality of human experience and tradition. I also have a new relationship with stillness, which has been really supportive. And I think in some ways, where I'm at right now in my spiritual life may not look like being close to God, I guess in terms of, the way my younger self might view me. But I think I'm participating with the divine in something, and they are calling me somewhere, and I don't know where that is. But part of it is that I am now pursuing a part-time master's at Union Theological Seminary, and oh, thanks, that's sweet. And I'm doing my first unit of chaplaincy training at NYU Langone, which I think is going to break me open. And I'm really grateful for all of you and for your companionship as I ride this river. Thank you.
I'm Noel, he, him. So I don't want to tell you about my life or spiritual journey. I want to share about my beliefs that I've come to really believe. And they've come through experiences in my life. I was the kid in confirmation class back in Mansfield, Ohio, for 2 years who actually studied. He did his homework, and who hung around after class to talk to the ministers. And what I discovered was that there was a depth of wonder there in Christian history, especially, and characters, a lot of bastards, but characters that began to feel like my family. When we do anti-racist training, they always say to, especially white folks from the Midwest, you've lost your ethnicity, because that was part of the white bargain. And I laugh. I don't really care what my ancestors were doing 200 years ago. They were being oppressed or oppressing someone. But I've discovered in the history and depth of the Christian faith so many ancestors that mean a lot to me. And then I didn't join the church when it was time because I still had doubts. And that was important. I learned that was okay to have doubts. And then when I was in my 20s, I was lost. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. And it was as if I was remember those old maps where the edge of the world, and if you would fall off, there were monsters? Well, it was like I was coming to the edge and was wondering if I might fall over. And I kept walking, and I discovered that God was bigger than any map. And I didn't fall off the edge. Not everything automatically came together, but I discovered a spaciousness to the world and to God's care for it. When I was in my 40s, I ran into two problems, one in my professional life and one in my family life, that really pushed me beyond my resources. And for the first time in my life, I tried praying and asking for help. I didn't get answers, but what I found was that there was something there that happened when I really prayed that sustained me. And I could rely on that. And now that I'm old and decrepit, I look back and what I see constant is change. Micah mentioned God has changed, and that's what I see. I see a lot of change I don't like that really worries me. I see change in my body when I look at myself every day in the mirror, and that's natural change. And then there's the change, I think, that is driven by the Spirit that we have to discern and look for, but it is the hope of our world. And what I want to do with you is set sail and catch the Spirit where God leads us. Thank you all.
Hi there. I'm Rikki Will. My pronouns are she, her. If you know me, I'm much less nervous when I'm on that mic than when I'm on this mic, but which I'll be there soon, don't worry. I was raised in a very, I would say, anti-religion home. When I went home one day in kindergarten and asked my mom about religion and church because the girls that I was playing with that morning found out I didn't know what they were talking about and told me I was going to hell. Well, I didn't know what that was either, so it was fine by me. But I went to my mom and I asked her about it, and she said, well, we don't believe in organized religion in this family, but when you're 18, you can do whatever you want. My father didn't even like us to watch Little House on the Prairie because of the religious references, even though we really loved it. But one day in middle school, my twin sister, who's here, and I snuck out of the house and rode our bikes to our friend's Sunday school, because they told us how much fun it was. And that stopped when their cousin found out and threw himself on the floor rolling with laughter. So we're like, okay, fine, we won't do that anymore. But I think my spiritual journey really kind of, I think I was always searching, but my spiritual journey kind of started forming more when I found myself in recovery rooms, and there was this collective searching that really filled my soul. And when in 2017, I was a single parent, and my kids were wild and raucous, and I was overwhelmed and tired, and I couldn't go to those meetings anymore. And a dear friend of mine, who you might know, Jenny Selig, she had mentioned Judson, and so I started coming, and Micah gave a sermon about black holes, and and the first person that introduced themselves to me, before he could even speak, I was like, I've never been to church before. And this person just casually shrugged and said, oh, I was raised Jewish. And I just felt like I was home and supported and cared for. And I always keep in my heart that when I walk out of those doors, I always feel better than when I walked in. So I'm so excited to be part of this community.
All right, folks, thank you to everyone who has shared about your spiritual journeys. And don't worry, these are not folks who are about to share their spiritual journeys too. They're about to sing about their spiritual journeys. But now is the moment in our service where we welcome your monetary offerings while we enjoy a creative offering. And as people have referenced Judson Discovery while they've been up here at the lectern, and for those of you who don't know what it is, it's a 3-session meeting and gathering where I and some members of the membership committee and the board and folks who are looking to potentially join gather, and we talk about the 3 ways to give to Judson: time, energy, and money. And so if you would like to learn more about what it might mean to be a member here at Judson, we will be embarking on another Judson Discovery journey in May. So you will find out more about that as it comes about. But remember, this is an invitation to offerings of all kinds. Time is a great offering. Energy is a beautiful offering. And now, with baskets going around, we also say that money is a beautiful offering. So give as you are able. No gift is too small. No gift is certainly too large. And I cannot wait to hear some Valerie June realness in this space. Take it away, Rikki and choir.
I could sing you a country lilt, carry the name, sweet Rikki will. But I got I got sweet, sweet soul. So I could play the blues. You'll carry the load while you're paying your dues. But I got sweet, sweet soul. So yeah, I got sweet, sweet soul. So misunderstood, get tossed and tangled on your search for what's good. Father, your soul, say your sweet soul. Yeah, I got sweet, sweet soul. So yeah, I got sweet, sweet soul. So now tell me, did you know? Tell me, did you know? Get you some soul. So tell me, did you know? Tell me, did you know? No, got to get you some soul. So yeah, I got soul. Yeah, I got soul. Yeah, I got sweet, sweet soul. So yeah, I got soul. Yeah, I got soul. Yeah, I got sweet, sweet soul. So yeah, I got soul. Yeah, I got soul. Yeah, I got sweet, sweet soul. So
All right, and now I would love to invite the 14 souls who shared their spiritual journeys back up to the front here to join Rikki. And for those who could use the reminder, we are a congregationally led church. So one of our co-moderators, TJ, is about to come up and lead a congregational vote for those who are in the congregation right now, and our members, you will be able to vote yay, nay, or abstain. But I just want to remind you, this has been our season of epiphanies and inquiries, and it has led us through a series of questions to today's question, which is, who are we becoming? This is who we are becoming. So give them a round of applause. And now I turn it over to TJ.
Good morning, everyone. TJ, he, him. I am, as Micah said, one of your co-moderators. My counterpart, Laura Jane, is incredibly envious of me. She's not able to be with us here today. She's doing some traveling. But we were talking earlier before the service this morning, and she's just incredibly enthusiastic and excited to welcome you all when she gets the chance to be here as well. So could I have a member of the current congregation make a movement for us to vote on becoming a church that includes these wonderful 15 people to join them on their spiritual journey? Yes, and a second, please. Great, thank you. All in favor of welcoming this group, please say aye. Aye. Nays? Abstentions? The ayes have it. Welcome. And those who are able, please rise in body and or spirit as we welcome you all with a response. Please join me. We are not all the same here. We gladly differ. We welcome you. We want to join you on your faith journey with vigor, excitement, and hope.
And now, show queens, you get to sing too. So Henco, take it away, page 5. Almost made it to the end before. All right, folks, please be seated. And folks, you can all be seated back in this beautiful congregation as freshly minted members. Now is the moment when we open up this lectern for brief shares of celebrations and concerns. I see David is already chomping at the bit. So we're about to bring in our Zoom diaspora on the wall here.